to replace 5 of our defibrillators that we use in the ambulances. Okay?
Oh, you really want us to?
Well, no, you don't have to. But I just want to give you an idea of what it looks like.
Can I choose somebody?
You can try, but that won't let you do it.
Oh, never mind.
So we applied for 5 replacement defibrillators at an 80-20 grant level. They came back with an award of 3 defibrillators at a 50-50 grant level. Back in August, we set aside $26,000 for the local match. Today, we're faced with finding a local match for $48,000 should we accept the grant. We have the opportunity to refuse the grant if the board cannot find the local match. But these are about $27,000 a piece, give or take. They're used about on 30% of our patients every day do some type of cardiac monitoring. This device also does your blood pressure. You put a cuff on, it'll automatically monitor your blood pressure, your pulse ox, which is how much oxygen is perfused in your body. And it is the defibrillator of choice for our advanced life support providers. It is much different than the AED that you see hanging on the wall. So.
Oh, that's for the advanced life support.
That is advanced life support.
That's the one that's on the wall. How much training does it take to learn how to use this?
To use that, no more than 8 hours. Probably I get you done in 4 hours just with the AED. 4 more hours you get CPR as well. That's the class, 8 hours.
And we're doing that now through fire and rescue?
Yes. We teach classes on a regular basis.
It's free?
Okay.
Sometimes we do the instruction for free. We have to pass through the textbook, the pocket mask, and the cost of the CPR card. But the instruction we do for free.
Okay. Chief, just a couple, are you finished or?
Well, no, we need to talk about the money, but if you have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
So at this point, the board is faced with, we have an opportunity to accept a grant from the Office of EMS for 3 defibrillators. Our share of that would be $48,000. We have already set aside $26,800 and some change. And you can see in your packet, we're looking for about $21,000 to make that 3 defibrillator purchase. As I said, in our system today, we have 12 defibrillators spread out throughout the county. All of those at this point are 10 years old and will need to be replaced. Okay. So you will see these requests coming to you both in grant and in general fund budget.
Okay. Now, you said at first your recommendation was for 5 at 80-20, but it came back with 3 at 50-50.
That's correct.
Did they say why the difference? They don't give you any...
the letter you have in the packet is how we're notified.
Okay.
No. We do go to a defense. We do present our case why we need 80-20, okay. And we've put a good defense forth for that economically depressed county, but they came back with this award.
Okay. And you're saying, and I did read the packet, but you're saying you need an additional $21,000 over what you would have gotten had you gotten the 80-20 match for the fire.
Correct. We have $26,000 set aside. To make this grant, I need $21,000 more.
Okay.
Where that comes from, we made a recommendation, but that really would be up to the board.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Seeley, you said you had a question.
If we do replace, if you do get the additional 3, are the others no longer usable? The ones you'll replace?
Yeah, they're 12 years old. The ones we're pushing out are on the engines, so we will push the oldest ones we have on the ambulance to the engines and so on. So we will reduce our total mass of that. Are they usable? Not really anymore. We can sell them. There is a market for monophasic defibrillators. That's what we have. Today, the defibrillators we have are biphasic. They shoot voltage both directions instead of just one. We're being told there is a market in third world countries for those devices, so we would put them on gov deals as surplus property, and we are told we could get some money for them.
Do we have any stations that need them that don't have them?
No, we have all our stations, all our vehicles that have them. We base it on the vehicle. These all of the devices we're looking at today are ambulance-based, and 2 of them are on engines. Engine 1 and Engine 2 are ALS, or Advanced Life Support engines. They carry all the same equipment as an ambulance, except they don't transport.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions? All right, how does the board wish to resolve?
Where's he going to get the money
Well,
He said
he
he
gave
gave
us in the
reserve.
packet, in the reserve, right.
from? Okay.
He's got the reserve fund that he's saying we should get it.
Right, it was in the packet, he said he was going to get it from the reserve fund.
And it would leave it would reduce the balance in
To
reserve to
$98,000.
$98,000. Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion that we go ahead and approve the grant application and take the funding from the reserve fund.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that we approve the grant application and we take the additional funds from the reserve fund. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, that takes us to agenda item number 11, a request for reduction of water bill.
Good evening, Board. My name is Paul Marquis. I live in Caroline Pines. I've been a resident there for 18 years. I recently had some unknown person, I think it's probably some juveniles, come to my property. They cut my outside spigot on. I think in the packet you have, you can see my house. My house is built in the side of a hill. There's no way I can see the front of it. I did not know probably for about 6 days until I had someone deliver something. They said, oh, you know, you got a leak at the front. And my faucet on the front was like a fire hydrant. And I understand now it's 127,000 gallons of water that went through it, about a $600 bill. Needless to say, there is no way I have ever used that amount of water, so I'm asking if there's anything the county can do to help me on that.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. If you can have a seat, let us talk to Joey for a minute, and then if we have some more questions, then, you know, we can deal with that at that time. Joey, basically, and I'm sure the board members have had time to look at this. You said what you're requesting is that the board would allow an opportunity to either reduce the bill or find a way to adjust the bill such that it does not have to be paid, since she obviously is not responsible based on what we read and what she said.
Typically, when there is a leak in your residence, we have an ordinance that allows a rebate once every 24 months. If you should have something break and it's repaired in a timely manner, they provide notarized documentation that it's been done, and we can look at their previous history 3 months back, and the average of that times 2 is what a code allows us to do for a water break. As this was more in the lines of vandalism than it was a break, staff had no way to really apply that code without board's approval. So what we've done is taken the request that she has. The most water she's ever used since she has been on our system is 4,730 gallons. So, you know, she had this previous bill, 127,090 gallons, which is a tremendous amount of water. You know, she's provided the information. We saw the webpage threads. There was definitely water running. She was unaware of it. At this point, it's really up to the board. I've kind of laid out 3 possible options for you, and really I'm going to leave that for your decision.
I understand. I just want to make sure that we get a clarification of the situation. One last question. So we have done, and I'm not saying we've had an exact same situation, but we have worked with users in the past when there have been issues regarding the water, when we felt that they did not actually make use of the water.
Yeah, we've had a few where they couldn't actually produce that there was an actual issue. We know that water went through the meter. Each time that we've had an issue, we've actually had pulled water meters in the past, had them tested. They've always come back accurate. Sometimes what happens is a toilet valve will get stuck, and it'll run and run and run until somebody uses that toilet again. We had a church, for instance, that happened to, or we believe that's what it was. Well, you know, by the time somebody found it a week later, it used quite a bit of water. We couldn't prove that's where it was, but the board was able to give a rebate just like it was a leak.
Okay. Any questions? Board members have questions or concerns?
Question, Mr. Taylor.
Mr. Thomas?
In our packet, it says we're supposed to have a Facebook thread, and I don't have that, nor do I have a picture of the spigot.
Mr. Thomas, we chose not to put that in. It had information that wasn't germane to the topic at hand and felt like putting that out into cyberspace was not a good idea. as far as the county packet on the webpage and so forth.
Oh, well, that, I would have expected you to give us that.
It did
separately,
have
but
information
okay.
from other residents that said they had a problem. One lady said that she had the same thing. She heard the valve squeaking that made her realize that somebody was turning her water on.
We're good, we're good. Now, is it Marquis or Marquis? Marquis. Close. Okay. Her water bill was never that high.
No.
So, and our policy is for leaks, not vandalism.
That's correct. Her top bill was probably $24 and some change, is the most she's ever paid before in the past.
But because we have the authority to make changes with or without the policy, we could make that change.
That's correct.
Thank you, sir.
Other questions? Do we need a motion from the board?
Mr.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Mr.
I'm sorry.
Chairman, Ms. Marquise, could I ask you a question? Just, is it, and I agree, I'm sure you didn't use 120,000
Yeah.
gallons of water unless you had
I
a,
don't even wash my car.
right? Is there any possibility that the insurance would help us out on this, since it was vandalism, or we could, have you checked that route at all?
I have not checked with my homeowner's insurance.
Okay. What I'd like to, if the board would permit me to do is, I think clearly, I'd like to try to, staff has made a recommendation to look at a couple of options. What I would ask the board to indulge and work with me is that if I could ask Ms. Marquis to simply contact her insurance company and see if there's anything that they would help us do in terms of paying for the vandalism, and if not, then I would ask the board to work with me, and let's move to option number 3, where we would consider as a water leak and reduce our bill down to the $44.39.
Mr.
I'd
Chairman,
be more than happy to do that.
do you think it would be appropriate to have a motion to the effect of Mr. Underwood would work with the homeowner and the board would provide up to or not to exceed the $565 in reimbursement based on her refund from insurance?
That's fine, if that's what the board wants, I see nothing wrong with that. The object is, or the idea is to try to help you to take care of your situation, and certainly that's what we want to do, and if that's okay with Mr. Underwood or and the board, that's fine. You could just make a motion, and
Mr. Underwood make the motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that the board would approve, would give me the opportunity to work with Ms. Marquise regarding the $565.17 amount, and if not to exceed the $565.17.
is there a second?
Second.
So moving properly second, then that we would give Mr. Underwood the opportunity to work on this issue, and that we would provide assistance not to exceed the $565.17 if it is needed. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, and the motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. And I'll contact my company in the morning.
But you sure look clean. You sure look clean.
I'm getting a lot.
Used a lot of water.
Thank you very much. Okay, that takes us to, I believe, 11A. Mr. Underwood, I believe you asked about biosolids, right?
Mr. Chairman, a couple meetings ago, we turned down a construction debris landfill, and one of the concerns was smell and odor throughout what they thought that would occur. And just so happens that on my way home this very same night, I drove down Ruther Glen Road, and there was this awful smell. And come to find out that they are depositing biosolids within the county that outstink creation. And I'm just wondering, what resolve do we have? Is there anything that we can do to have a discussion about this with the state? Because it is absolutely horrible. And I looked at the information that Mr. Fincham sent to me, and we've got 3 other dumpings in Reedy Church.
Mr. Underwood,
Yes, sir.
I feel your pain, because I have the same issue in my district. There was a request for biosolids or the spread of biosolids, and I tell you, we went the gamut of what I was told we could do. DEQ makes the final decision as to whether or not they will allow it. This board has really no authority whatsoever in the influencing of that decision. We were told that they would have a public hearing, and that, you know, in certain instances we would we could come and speak. But even I found out after we got into it that was not a guarantee that you know, they would take whatever information they got. We got a petition, and we were told that they didn't accept petitions. So the petition that we got with names, and they were all legitimate names who really signed them. And but we were told they were all alive. But at any rate, we were told that they didn't accept petitions. And so basically, the long and short of it is DEQ is the person or the group that makes this decision. I went a step further. I talked to Mr. O'Rourke about it, and he was very concerned, but pretty much said the thought process at this time is that it's DEQ's decision, and we kind of have to abide by that. Now, that doesn't mean we can't try again. You know, we wrote letters and did a number of things to try to address it. In the one case in particular, we ended up going to the landowner, and the landowner just agreed not to do it. But that had nothing to do with DEQ. We just happened to find somebody who listened and kind of did it simply because we asked them. But it didn't have anything to do with DEQ, or we didn't stop it. If the landowner had said, I'm going to do it anyway, then there was really nothing we could do about it.
And Mr. Taylor, they have, because I have one right behind Belmont that was done last month or month before. They don't necessarily notify you on time,
No.
which is a violation. And the funny thing is, the major spreader of biosolids is from out of the state.
Right.
So here's out-of-state trash we're getting that we really don't want.
You know, the only other thing was there were things like underground water and things like that were of concern, but we were told that those issues are already dealt with even before the decision is made. So when we talked about underground water and streams and wells and that kind of thing, even in some cases, people had statements from physicians that said that the spreading of this was detrimental to them. And basically, they would do maybe a setback. They may do a setback of 150 or 200 feet or 300 feet. But as far as actually, I don't know of any case where DEQ denied the farmer the right to use it. There may have been some, but I don't know of any.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate it. I just wanted to kind of put that on the record, because it is a concern, and
It is.
we
And,
may have no control, but
But we do the best
I think
we
we
can.
need to, exactly. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
okay. All right. And your polling place, I believe you said you had a concern.
Yes, I spoke to Mrs. Johnson and the other young lady regarding voter registration. She mentioned that they have had some issues at the Dawn Progressive Center with electricity, in terms of the having enough amperage to run the machines. And at times, the breakers had cut off, and there were some other concerns that she mentioned. I told her I would put it back on the agenda for us to discuss, and I told her what I'd like to do is have a public hearing. I'm not sure that I want to change, but I will give them the opportunity to have a discussion if, in fact, we should move the polling from the Dawn Progressive Center to the Dawn Library. I'm willing to hear discussion, but I'm not willing to make a concession at this moment. But certainly I wanted to put it back on the agenda.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Underwood. We can put it back on the agenda and give them the opportunity to come in the March meeting. Okay. All right, that takes us to informational calendar items, capital projects update.
I wasn't clear on that. Are we going to have a public hearing in March?
I'd like to have a public hearing
You're
first.
probably running out of time if I don't remember exactly the deadlines to get everything done, but, okay, so we'll schedule a public hearing for moving the polling place.
Well, we don't have the Justice Department 60 days anymore, so they got plenty of time.
Doesn't have to be done before election in the summer. I know there's a November, but is there anything else? I don't know when all the elections are this year. I
Well,
know
it has
there's
to be before the
November, but,
primary.
yeah, that's
The
what I'm.
primary is the second Tuesday in June.
Yeah, and so if they move it, they got to notify everybody. So I'm just saying,
Right.
if you want to consider
We
it,
better do it in March.
we'll do a public hearing in March. I'm just trying to get clarity, because I didn't want to push it off too late.
Can we meet the advertising requirement?
Yeah,
For-
public hearing would be 2 weeks.
March.
so we can- Yeah, we're on the, by the
Okay.
March 10th, we're a month away. I would think so. If we can't, we can't. But if we,
We got 2 meetings in March, so you
right,
can
we
meet the
get
second
one or the other
one,
one.
for
Yeah,
sure.
we'll meet the
We
second
drive
one
for
for
the
sure.
first one.
Okay.
Because there may be a 30-day requirement for polling
It
places.
could be, I can't remember that.
I
That
don't
change
remember
very
either.
often. But
But
schedule
even
it as
if
soon as we
should
can
be able to do it.
for a
Okay.
public hearing.
All right, at the next available date that we have. Okay.
Okay, all right.
Okay. All right, capital projects update, Mr. Cully?
Not a whole lot's changed on those. We've still waiting for our last tower site with State Police Stars, but we've got all the others done. So I think we're pretty good on capital projects. I did want to point out, and we just put it in for information, that the Virginia Public School Authority refunded some debt which we were part of as a pool, and you'll see on Fran put together that we saved some significant dollars over the life of the loan, approximately $2,045,000, and so that'll help us in debt service moving forward. So it's a net present value savings of about 10%, which is pretty good. So that'll be coming our way on some school debt. So that's just information, no action to be taken.
Okay. Okay, that takes us to closing board comments. Mr. Thomas, do you have any?
Yes, I forgot to mention, I have an Eagle Scout presentation or request for a letter from the board. In the past, we've done a resolution, so I'm going to provide the information to Mr. Parton, and I believe it's the 15th or 16th of March, so we can have it for our meeting next.
Okay.
And did the chair by any chance sign an easement today for Belmont's commercial area?
I believe so.
Is that a yes or a no?
It will be.
Can I watch this happen, please? Okay.
Okay.
I need to have that easement signed so we can do some commercial in front of Belmont. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
That's all I had.
Mr. Black?
Yeah, I guess it's directed towards Mr. Cully. Last week, we actually got in touch with Comcast for the first time in about a year. I know that was a miracle, but I'm just kind of curious, has there been follow-up in regards to that phone call, which literally, I think Mr. Parton and myself and Mr. Cully had literally dozens of phone calls into them before we got a response. So has there been any progress on that
I can
front?
assure you the DVD will be sent to the address provided as soon as we get it. that we now haven't addressed as to where to.
Oh, we did get the address.
Yes.
She did email you the address.
Yes.
We are making progress. Okay, thank you, just wanted to know. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Underwood?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, March the 10th, I'll be out of town, and I've asked the board members' indulgence to move the March 10th meeting to March the 9th, that Monday, if at all possible.
Okay, and I certainly have no problem with that. We've kind of polled the board, and everybody seems to be okay with it. So we can advertise it for March 9th instead of March 10th, since it's a change.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Mr. Chairman.
Okay,
I need to put it in a motion.
right.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we change our March 10th meeting to March 9th, 2015.
It's been moved and properly second that we would change the March 10th board meeting to March 9th. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries unanimously. Mr. Akins, do you have any closing comments?
I have none, Mr. Chairman.
And I have none as well. Just a reminder, I do have constituent meetings on the 17th and 19th at Port Royal and at Upper Carolina. Okay, then a move for adjournment is in order.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that we adjourn.